turning fragility into strength through art.
All of these dogs that have gone to heaven.
Art wasn't just a hobby, it was really part of who you are.
How to draw in a formal sense.
I Know My Inability, where we highlight incredible stories of resilience.
I can do everything.
Hey friends, today we're talking about turning fragility into strength through art. Welcome back to the SwagAbility Show, everyone, where we highlight incredible stories of resilience, creativity, all in the hope that you learn to thrive wherever life finds you. Today's guest paints some of the most stunning watercolors you'll ever see. But here's the twist. She creates much of her art lying on her side. She's also a jewelry designer, a published author, and a keynote speaker who turned brittle bone disease into a platform of hope. Friends, please welcome with me to the show, Catherine Clemitis. Catherine, thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us.
No, thank you for having me.
It has been a little bit of time since we've talked. You're down in New Orleans. Did I pronounce New Orleans right, or is it New Orleans?
Good job. No, you were
Yeah,
right.
we hear it so often in Canada, New Orleans, and I'm like,
Yeah, well, that's when you don't live here. That's what most people
perfect.
say.
New Orleans. Well, I'm one for one. And did I get the last name pretty close? Clemitis?
Clemitis. You were close. You were
Clemitis.
close.
I had a 50-50 and I chose that.
It's okay. You're not the only one, trust me.
Thank you. Perfect. You've been creating art since you were just a little girl, but can you share the first moment that you realized art wasn't just a hobby? It was really part of who you are?
I don't know if there was any one moment
Mm.
because I got into it, like you said, when I was really young. And I guess, when I learned that I could make money from it, that was kind of a turning point.
Yeah.
And I was, 10, 11, 12 when that happened. So,
Was art in the family?
no.
No, not a school subject?
School, yeah. I mean, my family is a family of medicine.
Mm.
I mean, like all of pretty much. I have one cousin who's a police officer, but the rest of my family is pretty much in medicine. Yeah, in some way or another.
Hmm.
And yeah, we don't really have artists, but I did have an incredible teacher in school, starting in first grade, who he's so crazy, but he's brilliant. I mean, he's a brilliant artist. Um, and he has a way of getting that creative spark going. He's not necessarily somebody you would have teach you like how to draw in a formal sense.
Mhm.
But but that's not what you want at 6, 7, 8 years old anyway, right? That wouldn't really be appropriate for that age. But
Put a color in my hand and let me go.
right, and he's good. He was good at pushing, like, okay, that's good, but can you do a little more? Can you put more detail? So anyway, he was really good at getting that creative part of your brain going. And so he kind of started me off in grade school. And then when my mom realized I liked it so much, she's a veterinarian, and she had obviously some clients who were artists and teachers, and she set up different private classes for me, and we looked into some summer camps and other types of classes. So yeah.
That's amazing. You live with something called brittle bone disease, and you've probably faced more fractures than most families combined will ever face in their lifetime. How did those challenges, first of all, of learning about something called brittle bone disease, and then accepting it, how did they shape your early years and your perspective on life?
Well, I mean, I don't know any different. Like, this. I was born with this, so it's not like you
Mhm.
know I was able to walk at one time and then I couldn't.
Gotcha.
Like I've never been able to. So
Mm.
as far as like learning about it, it was just learn by experience.
Yeah.
You know, I had broken 500 times by the time I was 10. So it was frequent and often, especially when I was young, before I hit puberty.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it. What's interesting is it doesn't affect my mental ability.
Hmm.
So that's what made it really hard as far as putting me in a school, because down here, at least in Louisiana, when you think of special ed, that usually has to do with mental capabilities, not necessarily physical ones. And so the school system would have wanted to put me in a special ed school, which would not have been appropriate for me.
Mm.
And so my parents coughed up the money for a private school
Okay.
that was very small, very family oriented.
Hmm.
I think there were like 200 kids in the whole school,
Wow.
kindergarten to eighth grade.
Yeah.
And I went there from first grade to eighth grade,
Okay.
and so that was good. And I was the only one in a wheelchair, but they did a really good job including me as much as I could be included. I
Mm.
mean, obviously there were times when I couldn't be, but um, you know, it
Yeah.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All about that. I was on with Maxwell, the blind blogger, the other day, and I described to Max I did a visual description of the scene. So here we have a four-legged white animal, somewhat not straddling Catherine, but right beside Catherine. For those that are listening to our podcast, and she's in a lovely. I'm not going to say pink. I'll say salmon sundress with a cute dog beside her. What's her breed?
She's an Italian Greyhound.
Italian Greyhound. Because your parents are a vet, which is fascinating too.
So we have 6 dogs right now, which is the most we've ever had and the
Yeah,
most we will ever have
and
because
we,
it's chaos.
yeah, and I want to talk about that later on, as talking about training service dogs on your own. But
That
yeah,
is not a service dog, the
okay,
one you just saw.
all right.
No.
Well, friends, if you're enjoying the conversation that Catherine and I are having today, and you think podcasting is something you'd love to do, you need to contact my friends at Podcast Launch AI. Podcast Launch AI not only gets you started, they handle the in and outs and everyday run of the mill what you need to know about podcasting. Podcast Launch AI is your podcast in a box. And the incredible thing is, you can make money at it too. If you're interested in podcasting, make sure to talk to my friends at Podcast Launch AI and tell them Swags sent you. Catherine, you sold your first watercolor. No, it wasn't a watercolor. You were telling me you sold your first painting around 10 years old. And what was that painting? And how did you feel? How did it feel to know someone wanted to own your work at that age?
So the teacher I was talking about in grade school, he had some of us do art for some benefit, and I don't even remember what the benefit was. I think it was for the SPCA, not positive, but it was some benefit for some dog thing. And we each had to do a painting or a project, something, to enter into this benefit. And the benefit was at a real upscale gallery downtown.
Okay.
We have a couple of streets that are just lined with galleries, and this is one of the most upscale ones. And everything had to be for sale. I believe it was auctioned off. Like all of the kids' stuff was auctioned off,
Yes.
and mine got in, and it was huge. It was called All Dogs Go to Heaven, and it was this 4 foot by 4 foot canvas, like not mounted, just like a soft rolled canvas.
Hmm.
And it was all of these dogs that have gone to heaven. So
Yeah.
it was like just their heads, and like one was a fireman and one was a, like it. I was 10,
Yeah.
okay, so it was cute and
Yeah.
fun, and there were like bones with wings and dog houses and halos and
Yeah.
like the whole thing. Okay.
So creative.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. Um, looks nothing like what I do now. But anyway, my dad went to this event and he got outbid. And I was like, really, Dad? It's like my first piece in a show. And he said, well, I'm not paying that much. And I'm like, come on. He was a very cheap man.
Yeah.
He was very cheap. And yeah.
Tell me how much it went for. Can you remember?
Oh, I think it was like three or 400. I don't think it was like
Wow, that's
it
amazing.
wasn't like thousands, but to me, at 10 years old, and of course I didn't see it. That all went to SPCA
Yeah.
or whatever the benefit was for. But I mean, to
Wow.
me, it was, I do know the lady who has it, so that she's a client of my parents,
Mm,
and so that's good. But
mm.
yeah, it's crazy. It was funny. I was so mad at him.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, that's so cool. And that fascinates me because I'm a very visual person and I like to know how things work, and I'm just wired that way. So when you're talking about painting or drawing or things, and I know my inability, I have trouble with stick figures. They end up crooked like me. But how do you use your craft? The way you're positioned, laying on your side. Can you walk us through how that works in the brain? And was that something you started off at right away on your side? You altered it?
Yes, but not well.
Mm, okay.
Yes. So it's a lot easier for me to lay down and do things because I can rest my arm on my body when I
Mm,
roll over instead of having to hold it up.
right.
And it's easier on my back, it's easier on my neck, and so I learned how to do a lot of things laying on my side. And I had a teacher in let's see, I think I started with her when I was about 13. Her name was Robin, and she taught me privately at a college level when I was 13 on Saturdays. She would come to my mom's office,
Mm.
and
And you were upright at this?
no,
No.
no, I would lay down, and
Okay.
she would actually lay on the floor with me
Okay.
and see the world how I saw it,
Right.
and then teach me how to compensate for that.
Okay.
And so, like, eventually it became second nature.
Mm, of
Eventually it became like my brain just makes the
course.
switch.
Yeah.
But I mean, it took a long time,
Mhm.
to get to that point. So she would make me draw perfect circles without a compass and
Mm,
straight lines without a ruler, repetitively for hours on a Saturday. And as a teenager, that was not the most fun thing to be doing on a Saturday.
yeah.
You know,
But most people think of it as a craft, but it's not. It's a skill that you work at. It's
It
amazing.
is. And I mean, I can still do all those things. I
Mm,
don't often, but I still can.
yeah,
Um, but she would set up like a still life, and I remember the one that was the hardest. I still have it somewhere,
yeah.
but it was those lights, those clamp lights that you clip onto things, and they're like big silver bowls with the bulb in the middle.
Yes.
Those,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So she has two of those, and they're sitting on the floor. So there's, all kinds of circles in that, and their cords are everywhere, and
Oh,
they're in
right.
front of a bucket, a galvanized bucket with paintbrushes in it,
That's what
and
I'm
all of that's in front of a board that's wood grain. And I mean, that still life, I
Mhm.
mean, it was a nightmare. I still have nightmares about that still life.
So you must look at art then and, you admire it for the work and things, but you must look at it completely different than the average, person that's not a art entrepreneur or someone that way because, you probably look at everything in that painting and what it took to accomplish that as an artist.
Oh yeah. And I do this exercise when I do public speaking
Mm,
sometimes
mhm,
when I have enough time in the middle. I do this exercise where I have people and it doesn't matter if you can draw or not. That's not the point. But they have a couple pieces of paper in front of them and a pencil, and then they have some kind of object that's, something simple but has some interest. So like the last thing I did was a bag of chips
right.
because it was with a bunch of kids, and they have to lay their head on the table and draw the chips. And then they have to not look, not pick their head up, flip the paper over so they don't see it, and then pick their head up and draw it again. And then they have to compare them. And again, it doesn't matter if you can draw or not. The idea is like how different your
Mm,
perspective is when you're laying down versus when you're sitting up. And
very
it's really interesting. It's really interesting to watch kids do it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
fun.
what up that what when you're speaking like that, what life lesson uh or I'm failing for words here, that you're trying to get the person to understand in a drawing lesson like that? Just life
Well,
lessons.
so Robin used to tell me one of her favorite things. I can still hear her saying this
Mm,
every time I draw, but one of her favorite things to say was draw what you see, not what you think you see. And I think that you can kind of extrapolate that to
mm,
you know life's not always what it seems at first, right? So look again,
yeah,
because sometimes
that's
it's not what
great.
you think
That's
the first time.
amazing.
you know
Mhm,
yeah. And um and then she also, because I my least favorite part of a painting is the drawing. I hate doing the drawing. It's
mm,
just boring.
yeah,
Like I hate doing that part. But that was the other thing she always said was you have to do the grunt work
mm,
if you want to get a good product in the end. And I mean that's true for anything that's
yeah.
worthwhile.
Absolutely. It is from podcasting to a sport that you name it. It's true with anything in life. Do you see like art as a way of telling your story or a story or giving voices to the animals or subjects that you paint? Do artists do?
It's funny. I just kind of had this conversation with a photographer yesterday.
Okay.
Um, I mean, it is certainly part of mine, and it is, I do tell mine through it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I use it to tell my story, but,
Mm,
but, this guy and I were talking yesterday about how, um, I'm doing a series where I'm painting his photos, and, um, he takes his photos because he wants to capture a moment. He wants to capture like an animal in the moment, and maybe there's a story about that animal or whatever. But then I get to kind of expand on that
mm,
because I get to just, I wasn't in the moment, but I'm reacting to what he saw in the moment, you know,
yes.
and it's kind of fun.
Yeah. No. Now we've talked a little bit about art, and we'll wander our way back there in a minute. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the author, Catherine, the author. You published "Looking Up," a great title, which shares life from the perspective of someone in a chair. What did you hope your readers would take away from that book, "Looking Up"?
I mean, kind of what I just said, and also just you know, uh, just keep going. I just keep trying things because at some point something's going to work out. And in my experience, it's when you least expect it.
Mhm.
You know, at some point something's going to give. I always say like anytime anytime I don't have enough work, I decide to do a personal project
Okay.
like for myself.
Yeah.
And as soon as I start that personal project and I get really into it, I get inundated with work and then I can't go back to it.
Okay.
Like it happens every time,
Yeah.
but it's kind of the same.
Mm.
And looking up started as a college project. I had to do. We were told that we had to do a project that only we could do, and that was it. Like that was our guidance for our senior project.
Yeah.
And so some people did posters, some people did product design, some people did websites. I did this book that showed my perspective,
Yeah.
and yeah.
You
So
also sorry, you also illustrated you also illustrated, I think, "Breed All About Us," which is a great title. Tell us about bringing dogs to life and, how that project came to be.
So that project, I do a lot of craft fairs and art shows where I will put my art on products like
Mm,
mugs and pillows and things like that.
mhm,
And I would get requests all the time for well, do you have a black lab on a mug? Or do you have a Maltese on a pillow or whatever?
Mm,
And I didn't, because most of the dogs that I drew and painted were other people's dogs. You know, they were commission based,
mm,
and I don't reproduce my commissions. You know, and so um, I said, well, okay, I'm just gonna do very small 4x6, like quick paintings of like profile, you know, like portraits
yeah.
of a typical black lab
Mhm.
or a typical Maltese or a typical Chihuahua or whatever. And I said, I'm just going to do like 8 or 10 of the most popular.
Mm,
Well, 8 or 10 turned into 30, which turned into 40. And anyway, I had a friend come over in the middle of it, and she's like, you should turn this into a book. And writing is not my passion, it's not my thing, right? And so I started looking for somebody to write it because I kind
oh,
of knew what I wanted. I just didn't know.
yeah.
I didn't want to do it, and so
That's all right. Yeah.
and my neighbor across the street is at the time she was not working and she was into creative writing, and so we collaborated, and I mean, we've become good friends, but we've collaborated on that book. So she did all the writing, she did all the research. We actually talked to people who own the dogs to
Yeah.
own each breed.
Mm.
So the writing in it is factual, but it's also kind of personal, you know. So it's yeah, and
A
it's
great
told from the
title.
dog's perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Breed all about us. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a fun anyway, there's 64 breeds. It ended up being 64 in the
Mhm.
book, and, yeah, it turned out to be a fun little project.
Tell us where, before we go any further, people can get their hands on your paintings, on your book, or even on this book, Breed All About It, and looking up, you have a website, or what's a way to get all of your work?
You can go to my website. It's kakartnola.com,
Mhm. Yep.
cacartnola.com,
Yeah.
and, yeah, from there, you can go to my Etsy store, which everything's available in there. You can go to my Facebook, my Instagram, all that.
Which will be in our description and notes below with links to those, so thanks for that. Beyond art, you also speak publicly. Um, what's one message you always hope your audience will take away after hearing you speak,
Um,
or message?
I Yeah, I mean, I usually try to tell people that everyone has something, you know, like it may not be art, right? It may be teaching, it may be podcasting, it may be music, it may, you know, it may be something else, but like everybody has something to contribute. And the trick is finding out what that is, finding out, you know, what you like doing and what you're passionate about, and then actually doing it. Because I can tell you, I know there are several people off the top of my head that come to mind that I know that have so much potential, you know, talent and whatever, and they just, for whatever,
Not
for
use
one reason or another, they're not tapping into it like
mm,
they should be,
yeah,
you know.
great message. Yeah, terrific message. Because it's true. We're put here on earth more than just to breathe oxygen and then put in our time. I think productivity is good for the soul, mind, and body. And so I think that's a terrific message. Let's go into the subject of dogs for a moment. Your parents were both uh, veterinarians, so you were always surrounded them. But last time we talked in our when we were together, kind of in a pre-interview, we were talking about service dogs and the ADA Act and some of the misconceptions around you having to buy $8,000 dog to to train and then go away and be with it for months. Can you tell us a little bit about what your understanding of service dog training is, at least in the US, and what some of the regulations and rules are service dogs?
So there is a big misconception that a service dog has to be registered, which there is no formal service dog registry. So all these people that say, "Oh, but my service dog has a card," yeah, you were scammed.
Mm,
You paid a bunch of money for a business card, basically.
mm,
And so um, well, then the question comes, well, how do you know it's a service dog? Well, you know it's a service dog because A, it behaves in
mm,
public.
mhm.
It knows things like when you're eating lunch at a restaurant, you get under the table.
Yeah,
You don't bark unless that's part of the service.
yeah.
You don't
The
bark
alert.
at random things. You don't, go to the bathroom in public when you're not supposed to. You're not constantly distracted. You're paying attention to your owner, all those things. And You can train all that.
Mm,
There are a couple of tests that are good for the service dog, every service dog to pass.
okay.
One is the CGC, which is the Canine Good Citizen test, and it's basic obedience. It's not if you've taught your dog to sit and lay down on command and to stay, and where you can walk away from it and call it, and to heel, to walk well on a leash,
Mm,
um, then you'll pass the CGC.
that's
Like it's
basic
not a
dog
real difficult.
behavior. Mm.
Yeah, it's basic. It's very basic.
Mm.
Mine just passed it a couple weeks ago.
Is it something you find online or a place you go to, or is it something?
You can look up what the skills you
Mhm.
have to have
Yep.
online,
Mhm.
but you need to find a trainer that is registered to say yes, this dog passed.
Mhm. And again, this isn't mandatory, but it is
No,
that's
it's
what
not
it does.
mandatory. But it is good to be
Yes.
able to say, like, "Well, my dog passed the CGC."
Yeah,
I
for sure.
mean, it's obviously this dog is well behaved.
Yeah, not a
Um,
pet.
and and then the next test beyond that is called public access, which I have not done with my new dog yet.
Mm,
Because public access is all the CGC stuff, plus you have to be good with elevators. They actually do have to go to a restaurant and sit under a table for, a
yeah.
certain amount of time. And
Mhm.
there's a few other little things that are a little bit different. Um, but yeah, those are the two that are pretty big. And then if somebody, and this doesn't work for every service dog, but if somebody does say, well, what is your dog? You need to prove to me that it's a service dog. I mean, if it's a service
Mhm.
that you can tell your dog to perform,
Mhm.
that's good. Because then obviously the dog,
In my research on of the ADA, I found that, someone can inquire at what service does your dog perform, but they cannot ask it to perform that duty. But the only 2 obligations are, number 1, that the dog, is, in a controlled behaves in a controlled manner in public, and, yeah, secondly, there is no such thing as, like you said, my dog is registered because my wife, is a she trained dogs for years now after working with a trainer through all the different stages, so, she has done an amazing job on our, working on our 3 dogs now, so that's a great myth to dispel, and coming from, the child of veterinarians, um, yeah, and because we all know that dog that, has a vest on it that is in a building that isn't behaving well, isn't doing a thing. Those are the annoying ones that make dog handling kind of embarrassing sometimes. But yeah,
well, and people, because of course you can get everything on Amazon.
yes,
So, they buy a vest that says service dog and they stick it on their terribly trained dog,
mhm,
and say, oh, my dog's a service dog. And it's not,
no,
and that's what ruins it for everybody else. The other problem is that there are now emotional support dogs as well as therapy dogs, and those are completely different.
yes,
That's completely different.
yeah,
They don't have to do as much. A
yeah,
service dog has to do more.
mhm, for sure. Both serve a purpose, but
Right.
Yeah, interesting subject, but it's great to dispel those myths about what's required. So,
Yeah, and I
today,
mean, I'm working on my second service dog
mhm,
now, and both of mine have been rescues,
mhm,
um, and neither were golden retrievers or labs.
yeah,
Because everybody thinks of golden
mhm.
retrievers or labs. Neither one is a
The
golden
book
was a golden
picture
retriever or lab.
title. You broke more than I think I read 500 bones in your body, yet you radiate such joy and creativity. What's your secret for staying positive and driven like you are? You just amaze me.
I don't really have a secret except that my mother is very was very hard on me as a child when it
Mm,
comes to like no excuses
yeah.
kind of thing. So that's kind of permanently ingrained in me at this point.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really boring to be miserable. I don't like to be miserable. I don't like to be bored.
Mhm,
So, on the days where I can't move, that is miserable because I'm bored. You
mhm.
know. Um, so yeah, I mean, those are probably the two.
Yeah. Friends, if you're getting any information of this that's useful and helpful, or a friend or a loved one that would find out what our podcasts cover, would you do my wife and I the greatest favor by subscribing to our YouTube channel, clicking that like button, sharing it with others, and drop us a comment of what you would like to hear in the future or what you would like us to discuss. And You can find us at SwagAbility Inc. on YouTube, or certainly you can just Google our name, as well as swagability.com has all sorts of information about our goal, thrive wherever life find you. Let's talk about what's ahead for you. If you were able to plan 10 years in advance for Catherine, what sorts of goals, what sorts of projects would you like to accomplish in your years to come? What are you passionate about outside of art?
Well, I love going to see live music. That's probably my other that would be my other hobby.
Mm,
So, because art is kind of no longer a hobby. It's
mm,
it's a job, you
mhm,
know. Not that I don't like it. It's just not something I would necessarily say I do all the
mhm,
time for fun, right? But yeah, so I mean, love to continue going to live music events.
mhm,
Um, I would not mind going back to Red Rocks. That was incredible.
mhm.
Um, yeah, that's outside of Denver.
What excites you most about this season of life that you're in right now?
Well, next year I have a lot planned. I have four separate gallery shows planned. And so I am excited and kind of freaking out about those. Because I'm nowhere near ready for them, but that's okay. It's only September.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I'm excited about that. Um, I don't know. I mean, I have some other projects kind of semi started kind of in my head that
Mhm.
I would like to accomplish at some point in the near future.
If there were no limitations on travel, distance, how to get there, what is one item, I mean, scene? I would say thing, but what is one of all of those that you would love to paint or draw?
Well, I don't normally paint from life. I usually look at photographs. So I
Mhm.
don't know as far as like when I travel, I'm not traveling to go work. Right? Like,
Yeah, that
for
makes
me, like if I get to pick a place to go, I don't want to go to paint. I want to go to do something else and
yeah,
have
interesting.
fun.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like I would love to go to Spain one day.
yeah.
That's one of the
Okay.
ones, and I know that is one of the European countries that's relatively accessible.
Mm,
And so, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love to go to Italy, but I don't think I would be able to get very far, just because of the
yeah,
accessibility situation
accessibility.
there.
I
Yeah.
understand.
But from what I understand, Spain is pretty
Mhm,
in the bigger cities. It's pretty decent.
Hmm.
So I would love to do that one day. I wouldn't mind going on another cruise at some point. Um,
You have been on one before?
I have, yeah. We did an Alaskan cruise. We did one up through where you live, actually. One year, it rained the entire time. It rained a lot, and we've done a few Caribbean like short cruises also. And I like cruises because everything is compact. It's all on a boat, and the boat is, I can do everything on it. The only thing is the excursions, but usually there's something, that I can do, even if it's just shopping, and I'm fine with that. So
That. Can you take us through what a day in the life of someone with brittle bone disease? What does a day look like for you from sunrise to sunset? If you don't mind us asking.
my days are actually kind of, I mean, so I live at home and I work at home. So I don't have to get up and go anywhere and do anything. There are very few days that you will see me completely dressed like this, because nobody has to see me, right? So, I mean,
Yeah,
who cares
yeah,
if I work in my pajamas all day? Um, I'm also a graphic designer, so a lot of the work, the day job work I do is on my computer.
okay.
So it's not a lot of moving around, but
Is that a power chair? Is how you travel? Mhm,
yeah, so I have an aide that comes in and gets me out of bed. I live with my mom,
mhm.
so
Yep.
she's usually here at night.
What is your height? If you
2'7".
2'7". I thought
Yeah.
you meant, yes.
If I told you my whole morning thing, it
No, no.
involves lots of dogs. But anyway, let's just say there's a lot of barking
Yeah,
that is involved in it.
yeah,
Um, but yes, my aide comes in, I get up, I get out of bed. I've usually already been awake and have checked my email on my phone and have figured out, okay, I got to deal with this client and this client and this client
yes.
first, and then I get up, get some breakfast, you know, um, deal with those clients. Sometimes I stop and we have a pool in our backyard. I swim for exercise. So sometimes I stop and do that.
Mhm.
Sometimes I, stop and eat lunch, whatever. And then usually, like the way I like to do it is I do design work in the morning and then stop and eat or swim or both in the afternoon and then do painting after that.
What's your favorite time of day?
Oh, I'm a night owl.
Are you?
Uh, yeah, I hate the morning.
Yeah,
I hate mornings.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm best from like I would say 8 o'clock to midnight.
Wow.
Those are my best hours, probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was like that, but it wasn't ideal for my wife. So I
That's the thing, and
right.
I get it. Like that's if I had my choice, we would go to bed later.
Yes.
But it's not, when you rely on other people,
Yeah,
you have to work around everybody else's schedules.
absolutely. Catherine, before we let you go, I have some fun ones I'd like to wrap up with, if you're okay with that. Finish the sentence for me. Art is
Perspective.
perspective. Okay. I was gonna go to the second one, but what do you mean by that?
I think again, this is one of the things I was talking about with the photographer yesterday.
Mhm.
You can stand in front of a painting with your friend and see something totally different.
Right.
Same
Perspective.
painting, totally different, right? I mean,
Mm,
you can have the same vision, the same out, the same
yeah,
spot, but how you interpret it is different.
that's
And I
ex
think, and see, I that's part of why I like music so much too, because I think you can hear the same song,
mm,
but depending on where you are in your life, it's going to affect you differently than your friend.
yeah, I love that answer. Art is perspective. Okay, number 2. Resilience means
Getting up in the morning.
yeah, I would agree with that sometimes. My superpower is number
I would say I'm a really good at giving directions. And
mm,
some people call that bossy, which I mean borderline, but I have to be.
someone has to give directions, you
I
don't
like and
get
I mean
that.
like you have, you need help, right? And
Yes.
so it's really like I don't know in school if you have ever had to do that exercise where you had to write down how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Did you ever have to do that in school?
I don't think Canadians are too busy with maple syrup.
Okay. Well, there's this exercise, and they give you it's some simple task like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you have to write it step by step exactly, and then you follow somebody else's directions.
Ah,
But like if they didn't put the peanut butter on the knife, then
yes. You
how do
can
you know to
draw
put
it.
the peanut butter on the knife?
Hmm.
So that's kind of how my entire life is
Giving
sometimes.
direction. Yeah,
Right, right.
not bossy. It's giving directions. Ooh,
Yeah,
this
I
one.
try to tell my mom that, but
Yeah,
she doesn't
yeah.
always agree.
I would say the same thing about my wife, and she's probably right most of the time. What about this? Talk about advice. The best advice I received was,
I don't know if it's the best advice, but it has been relatively solid. My dad always said you had to spend money to make money. I think that is most of the time true. The only thing is that I think sometimes you spend money on the wrong thing thinking you're going to make money. And
right,
that's where that advice fails.
yeah, it is true. That's good advice. I always heard my father say it in his business. You have to spend it to make it. And starting Swagability was the same way. You can't just say, let's build a studio out of nothing.
I mean, you have to if you really want something and you're really going to work for it, you have
Mm,
to take a little bit of a leap of faith sometimes,
mhm,
you know. And
yeah.
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't,
All
you
right.
know.
I feel most alive when
I'm at a concert.
at a concert.
No
Uh,
question.
Art and
That's an easy
music.
one.
Hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Tea or coffee
I hate them both.
or neither. Yeah.
Hate
Same
them
with
both.
us. Isn't that interesting? No, both Julie and I don't drink it either. No.
No, I like Coca-Cola soda.
Mm.
If I'm, yeah, no.
All right. That's guilty pleasure is soda. Gotcha. Uh,
Yeah, probably.
I think you've already answered this. Your dream destination be Spain, maybe?
Probably.
Mm.
Probably. I mean, there are some places I'd like to go in the United States that I haven't been yet. Like, we haven't traveled out west much. Like, the furthest I've gone is Denver. But, like, I'd like to do Arizona and New Mexico in that area at some point. I haven't been, like, I haven't seen Niagara Falls. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Do it from the Canadian side.
I should. We went to Victoria on one of our stops on
Hmm.
the Alaskan cruise. That was beautiful.
It
I
is.
mean, that was a beautiful area.
Yeah.
We only got a few hours in it, but I mean, it was gorgeous.
We welcome you back. A song that always lifts your spirits.
There is a country duo called Sugarland, and they have a song called Settlin', and it
That
basically says I'm not settling for anything less than everything.
settling. Okay.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
it's one of my favorites.
All right. Last one. If you weren't an artist, you'd be.
I don't know.
I
When
thought
I
you
was
were a
young,
singer.
oh no, I can't sing. I love music, but I can't sing. I was really into marine biology when I was young, so I don't know if that's something I would go into. It's something I'm definitely still interested in. I like reading about it. I would not be in the medical field. I don't think, just because between watching my grandfather, who is a doctor, do all of his emergencies and all of his like very high stress situations, and then my parents who constantly see emergencies and their high stress situations. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, I don't need that.
A little slower paced.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Catherine, your joy is infectious. Your journey is inspiring. Your creativity is amazing. And you just give me joy every time I talk to you. Thank you for hanging out on the SwagAbility Show for a few minutes. I think there's definitely a 2.0 in the future for us.
Sounds good.
Friends, you can look up Catherine at KAK Art and Design. That's KAK Art and Design. We'll leave that in the show notes. Remember, folks, at Swagability, we believe you can thrive wherever life finds you. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong and thrive where life finds you. Swags.